Hello and welcome to the Dare to Differentiate podcast. This is Hani, your host, and get ready for a banging episode. Our incredible guest, Chaya Gurkov.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Hello. So excited. Chaya is a fellow podcast host.
True. I have my own podcast called Between Two Worlds with my friend Rivka Cohen.
Okay, thanks for that intro.
Sure.
And then anything else that you like to introduce yourself about?
Sure.
Before we get started?
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm in school for film and for journalism. So I like to think of myself as a writer, which is a whole nother thing. But yeah, so that's what I love to do. And that's kind of how I introduce myself when people ask me what my shtick is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're excited to have you here. I'm excited to have you here. Me and my co-host. Didn't you used to write?
Yeah. I was a journalist for a while. I wrote for this website called Kings County Politics. I actually met Stephen Witt, who was the founder of Kings County Politics, at a Shabbos meal. And he's like, we're always looking for writers. And at that point, I was pursuing my journalism degree at Brooklyn College. So I literally just started working for him. And I started going to these, he's assigning me to different events, local. It was a local Brooklyn political website. So it was a lot of assembly people and local statesmen and things like that. So yeah, I was doing that for a year, and it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what got you into this whole in between two worlds kind of thing, or was it other things?
Yeah. I was starting a podcast actually at the site, and I was going to do it with a co-host and a co-worker named Ariama Long. We were going to call it Black and Jewish. Okay. She's a Black woman. The Jewish is me. And we were going to kind of do this thing where we talk to different groups of communities and people and ethnicities and cultures, because Brooklyn is just mosaic of that.
Yeah.
I thought it would be so cool to bridge the gap.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And
that is still an idea.
It's still an idea.
Stay tuned, guys. It's coming soon.
It's really not.
Theater near you.
Yeah. But it was we actually interviewed a couple people, but Kings County Politics was bought out shortly by a bigger media corporation called Schneps. Uh-huh. And so Kings County Politics is no more.
Oh, wow. And that was the end of that.
That was the end of that. And then I started working for Schneps, which I still work for.
Interesting. What do you do for them?
I've been relegated to assistant work, which I'm okay with, because I think I've moved on from my journalism dreams to writing in a more creative capacity.
Right. Well, you were talking about from the film side.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get all lost there, can you talk about what In Between Two Worlds is?
Yeah.
And what it means and all of that. Your little thing.
My little thing that I do with Rivka. Yeah.
Not your little thing that you do with Rivka. Your big thing that you do with Rivka. Your little intro to it. That's more, because I didn't mean that it's a little thing you do.
Oh my gosh,
it's
I totally
big
didn't
thing.
Take it that way.
No,
yes.
I know.
Yes.
I just want to clarify.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah. So you're asking what's our premise for the podcast? What's our little description of it?
Yeah.
So we call it Between Two Worlds because we kind of think about it as us being in between two states, or trying to coalesce these two worlds that we find ourselves in, which is in the broadest sense, the Jewish world and the secular world, and finding ourselves in that in between. And we like to talk to people who have, just different ideas of how to become better people, or we just talk about Jewish stuff. But that's the main idea of what the podcast is about, I would say.
Right.
But it's not only, I think, about living in between the Jewish and the secular world. I think it's also just about being in a transitional period in your life more.
Yeah.
Why smiling?
No, because I was thinking about that this morning.
Yeah.
When I was preparing for this conversation, that was one of the things. That was the first thing that came to my mind. This in between two worlds of being part of your parents' household, family, being in school, all that.
Yep.
And then not really having your own family yet, and that.
Period.
Yes. Of transition and being literally in between two worlds.
Yes.
And creating a sense of stability within that intermediary, I don't know.
Stage.
You called it something that was good. What was it?
Transitional period.
Yeah.
100%. Nodding so hard right now. Yes. That's really what it means. Because
right.
You know what I mean? And a part of me thinks we have it really hard because of our upbringing and the fact that we have so much emphasis on these stages in our life. And that's really like so tied to our identity and what we think makes us us. Yeah. Like if you're not getting married, then like, or if you're not having your kids and raising your family, or if you're not like into some sort of career, even in that sense, then, it's just really hard. So, yeah.
What do you think is the hardest part about it?
Of being in a transitional period?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's complete chaos, really.
Chaos?
The chaos of it internally, mostly. I think it's also, I think when you have institutions holding you up, something like school or even work, something like that, there's stability in that. There's order. There's like a fallback plan. It's like a schedule. But when you're really in it, when you've like moved past those things, even, I don't know, mentally, you're trying to really find yourself. Dude.
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
There's so much doubt. There's so much back and forth you have with yourself. There's so much discovering. And I don't know, it's not like easy isn't a good word to describe it.
Absolutely not. It's interesting that chaos is like the part that's the hardest part for you. Like as I'm asking it, I'm like, what's the hardest part for me in that?
What would you say?
And I don't know. I feel like the hardest and like the most rewarding part of that is knowing that I'm responsible and like knowing that I can make my own choices and I'm responsible for those choices.
The independency.
Yeah. But not even independent. It's like, because like I'm not following a schedule. So each part of the day I choose. So that's really scary. No, it's not really freedom. I don't feel like it's freedom because I feel like it's almost more responsibility because you're responsible for whatever happens. And like you can't blame anyone and you can't like fall back on any of that. So it just feels really, it's hard, but it's also the most empowering, most exciting part for me.
It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Here. The best thing about it is also the worst thing about it.
Yeah.
For sure. But
and like embracing the chaos, like you said.
Yeah. I think once you've embraced the chaos, like you said, once you see almost like the other side of the coin to the freedom that you have, like you're saying, like this moment is mine completely, and I get to own it and choose it and do what I want here.
Yeah.
Then you're like in power, or you know what I mean? Like it's coming from yourself. But I think why I say chaos, why I use chaotic in my terms and why I'm so afraid of it is because I think that the chaos only doesn't seem scary once you have really found your identity and come from a place where you feel like you're in control or in power, for lack of better terms, because I don't think you should be in power or feel like you need to be in control. In your own power.
Like powerfully connected with yourself and with your identity.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. It's that lack of identity.
Yeah.
That is chaos for me, because I think when you're in a transitional period, you are really, really at like the most deepest sense reconstructing your identity. Yeah. And that is terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's so terrifying. And with every like layer that like gets shed, it's like just like it's shed it, like all these layers just like come off, and then like, is there anything left?
Yes.
And then like, is there anything left? And in some ways there is nothing left. And then all that's left is like to build again. So then it's just like chaos.
Then you're literally just left with the chaotic experience. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
How do you navigate the chaos?
How do I navigate it? Well, not well. Send help. Send help right now. I don't know. I think, well, first of all, I think it's something that you have to, for people like me, I like when I understand something totally so that I could kind of track it, let's say, and kind of, if there's repetition, I can kind of understand, Like I've gone through this and I've found a solution, so I could just keep applying that solution to everything. And I know I could not have that problem later down the road because I've already dealt with it now. Everything has to be kind of linear.
Yeah.
My growth has to be linear because I've reached a point and now I can reach that other point.
Right.
I think I had to really let go of something like that because it was so detrimental to feel like, oh my God, I was so much more secure. I knew myself so much better years ago or months ago.
Yeah.
Why am I in this place now? Or a week ago, I was feeling great. I was feeling like confident.
Yeah.
I was in the groove, and now I'm not. And that like mindset, I think, was super detrimental because you have to let go of things being a linear pattern.
Yeah.
So how do I navigate it? I try to navigate it from a point of let's take this day by day.
Yeah.
And let's also be really kind and compassionate and loving to whoever it is talking to me, because identity is like a very difficult thing for me to grasp and to understand and to figure out what my definition is or what I am. So
that's so brave of you to just like embrace the chaos of your identity. I think it's really cool. I think so many of us have a lot of questions about who we are, but to actually like actively choose to ask those questions and be like, wait, like, is this me? Like, do I identify with this? And then like, no, this isn't, like, chuck that, kind of go through that whole exploration. Like, it's so much easier to not explore it, but it takes like a certain sense of like bravery, daring to differentiate.
Wow. I don't see it that way at all.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting way of looking at it.
What do you mean?
I don't see it as brave because I don't think I chose to have to deal with this. I don't think my personality would allow me to not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, I mean, is that something you feel like you chose?
What do you mean?
To grapple with your identity and figure out who you are? Like, was it a conscious decision? Were you like on a path where you felt like you could just continue to be whoever this person was because of your environment, and were like, no, I have to figure this out for myself, and then kind of made those decisions consciously?
Both. Definitely like very hand in hand because of my life circumstances. I don't really feel like I had a choice. And I do feel like it's something that I choose to like explore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's definitely like very much both. And I think being in an experience, I can see that you're brave, but you're just like, this is my life.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But that's what's so cool about being in a community where we're all doing our own personal work, but then like I can celebrate you with what you're doing because I see it in a different way. You're just like doing whatever you're doing, and then I'm like, I can be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yes.
Right?
It's crazy. I just think we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But in a way that's so unconscious to us.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I talk about this with my therapist all the time. She's like, you gotta stop being so hard on yourself. And I'm like, I'm not.
You're like, this is normal.
I mean, like this is normal, but I think it comes in the way where like you're not even thinking of the things you're doing in terms of like, wow, that's an accomplishment. Wow, that's brave. Wow, that's really cool that you did that. Like you don't think about those things in terms of what you did. They're kind of like your life and you just go about doing them. And
I would love if we can celebrate ourselves more in that, because life throws whatever throws at you, but you choosing to enter the chaos is universally a brave choice. Like it doesn't matter like if you feel like you had no choice. You know, it's like when people are going through really hard things, like, oh, like you're so strong. And it's like, oh my God, don't even get me started. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great example.
I guess nothing happens in a vacuum is the thing.
So how do you think someone should celebrate themselves more? if they aren't inclined to do that already?
It's a great question.
Wine and
what?
Just sitting and watching Netflix and having a cup of wine and just, I don't know.
For some people, yeah.
I think
it depends. Like, I think it depends on the time of the day. And it's like that same thing of like, how can I feel celebrated now? Like, oh, I need a friend to tell me that I'm doing great. Sometimes it's therapy. Sometimes it's buying something. Sometimes it's just like staying home. Sometimes it's going out. Sometimes it's spending money. Sometimes it's not spending money. Like sometimes I spend money and it doesn't do it. Like it's not it. And sometimes like it's exactly what I need, Yeah. So it's like getting in touch with your identity, I guess.
Do you feel like you celebrate yourself like enough?
No, not enough. More than ever before. Yes, that's a celebration, but enough now.
So what is that? What would the ideal amount look like? I'm so curious because I want to know, how do I actually celebrate myself? Does that mean every Sunday I'm, doing, I don't know, 15 minutes of something that shows self-love?
Okay, this is like ideally, and this is not where I'm at, but every day, something in the morning, I would say is like a good place. It's a good goal to have. I remember this woman was telling me like three things to take care of yourself every morning. And I'm like, that sounds like a lot. But then like you start and then it just ends up not being so much a lot. Even like annoying things that usually are just feel like chores. Like when I did my dishes this morning, I'm like, I'm doing this for myself. Like dishes are annoying, but it was part of like my morning routine of just like taking care of me and my life.
Absolutely.
So it's just like a way of
redefining those chores.
It made me 5 minutes late to work. And like, that was that was a way that I was able to take care of myself and it was totally chill, like no issue. But right. You know what I mean? We're not trying to like promote any of those things, but like if those are ways for me this morning that made me feel like I was taking care of myself and celebrating, maybe not celebrating. That's a little, but
I mean, self-love, self-care, kind of putting yourself as priority, maybe instead of like celebrating seems like a rather large like term.
Is that overwhelming?
It might be, just for at least for people like me who I don't really know if I've ever really celebrated myself. Yeah.
So the thing that when I said celebrate, just me seeing and articulating the fact that it is so brave that you're in the chaos, like that's a celebration, and I can just like articulate it, and I'll say it again. Don't worry.
By the way, no, totally. But that's actually also, I find
like it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Like that's all. Like I can just communicate that.
Yeah, totally.
Like, hopefully,
don't stop. Keep saying it. I actually like live and breathe like those comments. They give me so much chayas to the point where they're actually detrimental. Like I can't. I would rather people not say anything because when they don't say it, I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong that I'm not getting these comments? What am I doing wrong where my professor isn't like, that's the best question I've heard in the last 50 years. Like, it's bad. Right. So, like, I'm going to bring my therapist a lot up in this conversation. But every time Judy tells me, like, I tell her, like, an insecurity. And then she tells me, what? That's crazy. You're literally
exact opposite
of that. Yeah. I'm like, well, thank you. You just made me feel so much better, but that's only going to make me feel good right now. And I wonder if that's not really attacking the insecurity. So it is a celebration of me in the moment, but I wonder if it's a celebration of me as a total person. Does that make sense?
It's both.
Yeah.
Because every moment, like Hashem is recreating us. So like part of, like there's something new and then there's something old. And there's something constant. It's like the sun, moon, and stars are constant in creation. And then there's like all the things that come and go. But we have that, like that stability. I'm going to talk about horoscopes or whatever.
I really don't know much about it, but I would totally...
Whatever. This idea of there's the constant, like the sun rises and sets every day. And then there's like the things that, our skin sheds. But then it also is always going to be skin. I'm just thinking out loud.
It's like new and old.
Yeah.
In one moment. Yeah. It's cool.
I guess whenever I like I sit out in the sun and get a suntan. Don't come at me for this. That's when like you really notice like what's going on and like all the layers and like the layers of your skin and how like,
That's
it
so
really
funny.
replenishes itself.
Specifically when you get a tan.
Specifically, yeah.
Totally. And the tan is
Exfoliate.
gone within the next week. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I just learned this last week.
What?
That your face, the reason why like your legs stay tan for longer is because it doesn't regenerate as fast as your face. Like, your face is, like,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you know if your face skin is the quickest regenerating part of your body?
I think so.
Oh, yeah? Honestly, that would make so much sense.
That's why like you can literally be tan for a day.
Literally.
Oh
my God. That's crazy.
It's so sad.
You're just flaking off that tan you worked
like,
so hard to get.
Exactly.
Huh.
But
maybe if you don't wash your face.
Yeah.
It'll stick a little longer.
It just comes off. Even if like exfoliate, like your body takes care of itself.
Yeah. It'll come off either way. On your pillow.
Wash your pillow.
Wash your pillow. Yeah. Are you good about washing your linen on your bed?
Depends.
Okay. Depends if you're feeling it.
Yeah, exactly.
Feeling celebratory.
Celebratory. Oh my gosh. That's it. Like that's I guess the theme of the night.
It's just putting linen on your bed is I hate it. It's the worst chore. It is objectively the worst chore.
But do you ever imagine like what you'll feel like? Like does that help you?
Like, absolutely.
That's like what
the smell of clean fresh linen. Yeah.
And like
that's the only thing.
And then like all of that. Like it's a different
different caliber for sure.
Yeah. But even that, like, sometimes it's really hard. And sometimes I'm like, wait, like I'm taking care of myself. You know, I try to use those terms. Yeah, just like reminding and just being more gentle about it.
Yeah.
Instead of just like hustling through it. Just being like, okay, like.
I love that. There's so much presence in those moments. And if there's anything that I would like to do more with my time, it's just be more present with the time I have.
Yeah.
That's like my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that message.
Yeah. Thank you. I was interviewing or whatever, this business coach, and she was like asking me some of like my big goals. And I was like, honestly, like my goals, like I have like some really big goals that I want to like accomplish, but whatever those are, like I want to be present in that. Like I don't want to have 1 million downloads on my podcast if I'm not present in that experience. And that's the hard part. Listen, like if I can hustle, I can grow a lot faster than I am, but like because I want to be included in this experience, it's taking a lot longer. And like sometimes I really don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it's also like a choice that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with like how that connected to something else.
I think we were talking about presence, and you said that every experience you want to just be present in it. That's why you're saying this podcast. And I agree with you. Everything you do in life, if you don't do it consciously, then certain effects or priorities will take hold, right? Like that's why people say everyone has their own Aveda Zarah in a way, even if you don't, because if you don't serve something consciously, you're going to be serving something subconsciously. Right. So I'm the biggest advocate for doing things as like well thought out as possible. Mm-hmm. And with thinking out things, it obviously comes with a lot of stress and a lot of added, like honestly time, because it takes time and it takes effort and energy to put like your whole awareness and thinking into things. But like you said, you could just hustle and like take society's definition of success into your podcasting experience, or you can be like looking at this experience and shaping your priorities and the hierarchy of priorities. Right now, what is like my actual priority in life? To be present. Okay, what is that going to mean when I do my podcast then? That means I'm going to have to actually do the counterintuitive thing of not hustling. Yeah. And I think that's such a like good approach to things. It's just invested. I don't know. So
And
yeah.
that's why, like, when you came, we were just talking, and then it just like came up. We're like, let me bring you on, and it just like, listen, I have a whole list of people, but like that conversation just felt right. So I was like, let's do it. Like, let's just follow it and do it. And it's so much easier to just follow the list that I have, the checklist that I have, and like try to hound those people. Like, I have a friend who was supposed to come on. We spoke about her coming on, I think, for like 5 months. She still hasn't come on. And like, that's
Wait.
okay.
Was it just scheduling conflicts and
It's
things
just like
that?
we cannot
Figure it out.
get it together.
Happens, yeah.
And like, that's great. Like, then
When it happens, it's going to be amazing.
it is going to be amazing, but it's also great to be able to like let it go, like let it just come as it does, kind of thing.
Like let it take its flow.
Yeah,
Kind
let
of.
it take its flow. It doesn't sound very flowy though. Let it take its flow.
It does not
Listen,
sound
we're
right.
still very like we're still. Listen, I'm like a recovering perfectionist, so it's like it's hard to like,
I know, I literally love that.
right?
Yeah.
But
Can we please talk more about that?
being a recovering perfectionist,
Yeah.
What do you want to like? Sure.
Okay. Can you describe what it feels like to be a perfectionist? Like, what was your state of being before you were like, I have to stop this?
Well, I would overthink everything.
Okay.
Not enjoy anything because I'm like judging everything in my mind. Like, is this right? Like, is this right? That's just like constantly like in my head, just like evaluating, giving myself like made up assessments and giving everything made up, like just these assessments, like where there's no tests here, but like I'm still like based on comments, based on whatever, based on how not at all how I feel, based on like everything else. And it's really not enjoyable.
Were those judgments directed at other people, and like the comments they were making, were they judgments made towards them to make you feel like superior in some way? Because you're saying you're overthinking everything and you're putting things in the right or wrong category. So I'm wondering what that looked like in a given circumstance.
Just like a very simple example, like you just came over and like I didn't make sure that everything was put away. That's a big deal.
Gotcha.
That's just like one example.
Gotcha.
It's not relevant. Like, it's not important. It's more important that I made sure I ate before you came, so that I can be more present in this conversation.
Right.
You know, and like not be so hell bent on like making sure like. If I didn't say that, you probably wouldn't notice.
Like, not at all.
Not at all, right?
Not at all.
So if you're ever feeling insecure about that, anyone out there?
Thanks for sharing that.
No, absolutely. There's so many other things. Yeah. So I want to go back to what we're talking about, being in between two worlds. And I'm not sure if I want to talk about the secular versus Jewish world.
Sure.
Or if I want to talk more about the other piece that we ended up talking about like being transitional, like not being in school, not being in your own family. But
That transitional
that
phase.
transition. I
Sure.
think let's talk about that first, because I feel like that's a little more relevant.
Yeah.
Harder
sure.
to talk about.
Harder to talk about. for
Harder
sure.
to talk about, and I think that's why.
That's why you want to talk about it. Sure.
Yeah. So, how has it been for you? Or like, maybe that's not a good question.
Just tell me how you feel. Yeah. You're saying, how does it feel to be in a transitional phase?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
No, maybe not. How has it feel?
Okay.
Let's not do that.
yeah.
What has most surprised you about being in your transitionary phase? Like, what has most surprised you about you? What has most surprised you about your experience?
This is a hard question. This is a really hard question. Do you have something that like you think you can answer right now? Just because I'm going to need some time to ponder
No,
that.
absolutely. I think what's been most surprising to me is like how confident I actually am.
Okay.
And how...
Was that something you feel like you got better in as the years went?
100%.
Okay. Oh my God.
No
yes.
question.
Okay.
No question about it. I got so much more confident.
Okay.
and so much more like secure in myself.
Okay.
Took
Amazing.
a lot of years though. I think that's like the most surprising part. And I feel like you are so confident. So that's really cool. I like it's so inspiring to me. I don't know, we're like however many years apart we are, and like I feel like we're doing so much of the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like I almost wish that I did it, that I was where you are when I was your age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to think I'm across as patronizing at all. But
Doesn't. Really doesn't.
but
I also don't think
just
you could
it's
be so
cool.
hard on yourself, though. I don't think you're beating
Back
yourself
to,
up.
yeah. No, I
But
don't think I am. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, as in like a cool, like I look up to you in that way.
Interesting. That is so interesting because damn, I am a good, what's the word? Like I fool people really well. Like I'm so happy about that.
Well, there's something about it that's true.
Sure. I'm not like completely lying, but I'm so okay. That's literally why I wanted you to answer the question, because that brings I want to talk about that. I think being in a transitional phase and then also grappling with your identity and figuring out who you are from like really the scraps of your from like the bottom,
From the scraps of what's left.
from the scraps of what's left
Left of you.
Yes, absolutely.
I love how you said that. It sounds like a writer.
It's what really happens is you just lose all confidence. And that when I say chaos, that is probably the hardest part about it. It's that because you don't have a sense of identity to be stable and secure in, you're just constantly like overthinking and not knowing what to say, or not knowing if you're saying the right thing, or not knowing if you're coming across a certain way. And so the fact that you think I'm confident is pretty cool, because I struggle with that a lot.
Wow. Thanks for sharing.
Sure. Getting super vulnerable. But
Yeah.
I
Listen, I struggle with it a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from both sides, like I have both, like I'm super insecure and I'm super confident. And a lot of times it didn't even be at the same time. But maybe when I say confidence, I mean like knowing that I have myself.
Yeah.
And knowing who I am. And as I'm saying, like I know who I am, I also don't know who I am, but I also do. And I also like have built this like sense of self and the sense of trust within myself, which is, I feel like that's the most like
foundational.
And I guess I just didn't expect it. It's like you just like want to get through it, you know? And you want to get out of that through it whole, but it's like, can you come out of it like stronger and better and happier and more confident and more full of life and love and light that you can just share with yourself and the world, you know?
Totally. But so can I ask you a little bit about your journey to a more insecure but confident person at the same time? Because I love how you said I'm both those things.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to go away.
Damn, really? But so before it was just the insecurity. You didn't have the confident side as well.
It's like that. I think the insecurity and my perfectionism really like played into itself and each other.
Mm-hmm.
If that, you know what I mean? Like when you're like insecure, so then you'll just make sure that everything's perfect. So then there's nothing really to be insecure about, but it just makes you feel more insecure because there's more details that you're missing out on. And like, what if it's not right? And
And so how did you not lose your identity to those qualities? How did you not just think that those things kind of were you? Like you're a perfectionist. This is who you are.
I think being a perfectionist really like destroyed my experience, destroyed my joy, like killed so much of who I am, who I was.
Yeah.
So then I kind of had to rebuild from that.
You can't be the things that destroy you. I mean, it sounds obvious, but like really it's not, because your perfectionism is my desire to be perceived a certain way.
Okay.
That's what I struggle with. You know, I'm so concerned with the thoughts you have about me in your head. Like I need them to be a certain way.
Right.
And if
Thanks
they're
for
not,
sharing.
you're very welcome.
I feel like I'm the same way. That's
Oh,
also
yeah?
perfectionist. Yeah. So
Yeah.
worried about what other people think. 100%.
Yeah. Gosh, perfectionists have like all the worst the worst parts about like
Don't be jealous. Guys, don't be jealous of
kind
us.
of like gosh. Because I feel like I have to be the best at everything.
Right.
So I'm like, maybe I'm like the best perfectionist. So I
You
feel like
probably
I have to be the top of that hierarchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that you're diagnosing perfectionism, though, like I'm starting to see it in people around in my life, and wow, it's tough.
But I think back to this idea of like what I've learned in this like transitionary phase is regardless of what other people think. And what other people think becomes much less relevant. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say irrelevant, but a lot less relevant. It's so funny because when you go through certain things and like people ask you like, how do you do it? And it's like, there is no formula. And if anybody gives you a formula of how to get somewhere, don't listen to them. Okay?
Absolutely.
Do not. But yeah, I definitely myself in so much of your experience, which is really cool.
No, that's really, like, really cool. And I love that we're connecting over that because besides for, dealing with that kind of struggle of figuring out who I am, there's also a comparative game that I feel like you're playing a little bit now. And also I play constantly with people surrounding me and like my classes or things like that, where it's like, I'm doing these pretty like cool things, right? Like objectively different. I'm trying to take a different path. I'm trying to pave my own way and follow my destiny and my heart and things like that. But I'm like, why am I struggling? Why is it so hard? Why does this person seem to have it all together? Why is she so much better at socializing? And why does he have 5 films underneath his belt already? And I'm like,
and why does she have such great hair?
And why? Literally. So it's just good to remind yourself that everyone, like you said, everyone has their own timeline, and like just remember that. Yeah.
It's actually funny. A couple of days ago, I met somebody else. And so my podcast came up and I was like, it's called Dare to Differentiate, which means like just dare to like be yourself and just be you versus like going with
status quo.
Exactly. And he's like, does that mean like there's never a time to just conform? And I'm like, dude, I'm not answering that question for you.
Do not grace him with an answer.
Absolutely not. No. But I think we've like, that is a little bit of an extreme example, but we fall into that all the time of like, what's the answer? What's the formula? Y equals mx plus b. Like, that's just not.
That is the struggle.
Yeah.
That is the struggle.
That's the chaos. That
is between two worlds.
Yeah.
Which parts of your identity from your community you're keeping with you and which new parts you're integrating. Yeah. For sure. And like you said, is there a formula? No. Yeah. No. That looks different for every individual because it's so individual.
But also like every day, every week, that's what makes it so much more chaotic. We mentioned this before. Like it could be true for you. It could have been true for you last week. But like now you're at this new crossroads. And you might be making the same exact decision. And it's just like, what? And it's the worst chaos. Part, honestly. It's the worst. Now I'm really struggling with fashion right now. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know what my style is. I do not know.
Okay.
And I never had an issue getting dressed ever. And I'm at this point where it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know what I like. But like, I don't like anything in my closet anymore. Yeah. It's like a really hard part of, I guess, being in transition. And I think what's so important is that we are always in transition. Doesn't matter what's going on. Doesn't matter what stage of life there's always something coming and going. And as single women, I feel like we carry all of that on our backs. And it's like, hello, like to the right, to the left. Like everyone's dealing with transitions and being in a transitionary phase of something. And this is something I've been wanting to say for a long time.
Please say it.
That I feel like we have so much wisdom to share with anybody living their lives because of the intensity of the transitionary life that we live.
Us specifically.
So, us specifically.
Yeah.
And I think that people, back to that advice, like the first thing, it's like, oh, you're single. There's always like a device of like, how to meet someone. Like, maybe I don't want to meet someone right now. Like, or, oh my gosh, I wish I knew someone. And it's like, I don't care. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, thank you.
100%.
But it's also like, what about your experience? What about your experience can you shed insight on with other people, to other people, for other people?
First of all, wow. That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
Because I agree with you a lot that we have a lot of wisdom, because I think we're almost forced into figuring ourselves out because we're almost like supposed to be gray. We're supposed to be wallpaper until the next phase, right. Almost. And I mean, it's super harsh, and I don't think that everyone treats you like that. I don't think like people just sideline you, but it's almost
like, so whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like you're a device for them to fix or to figure out like who to set you up with. You become almost like that's how people see you as a single person. You walk into the room and they're like, "Did you heard this guy? He's single. Why didn't you go out or whatever?" And so, it's helpful if I guess you're looking and you want to get married, but at the same time, it's definitely not helpful if you're trying to be a person as a whole human being and not just known for that one thing that's part of your life. It's not your whole identity. Yeah.
And I do feel like that's a very universal challenge. I don't think it's unique. It's like exacerbated, but all these things are universal.
Oh, for sure.
So it's actually funny because I was going to ask you, what do you feel misunderstood about? Like by other people? What do you feel like people misunderstand about you?
So I was really thinking about that question when you sent it to me. Yeah, I really was. I think I don't know. I don't know if
you're not getting the data. You're like trying to get the data and you're not getting it.
I'm trying to like bring the data forward and it's just not coming. It's just not. I don't know.
Well, I guess it also depends on what context. Like as a single woman, as a frum girl out in the world, your roommates, your family, your parents. Like maybe there's something different.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of what I think people misunderstand me is kind of what we were touching on this whole conversation is that, I think people aren't aware of, let's say, how much like I care about what they think, for instance, or how much power they have over me, which I guess I'm kind of glad about because I don't want people to know that I care so much like about what they think, because it's part of the problem. Yeah, part of the whole shtick is like feigning like I'm this cool, mysterious girl who doesn't really care about what you think. But like, oh my God, did she say she liked my comment? Oh my God, yay, I won. Right. No, I mean it's part of that, and also it's partly like
it's like you're in between both those worlds too, of like being like confident and being mysterious. And being like needing to know what everyone else thinks about you. What about those two worlds?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't really know. Do you feel like there are things people misunderstand about you?
All the time. I think I've embraced this idea that people misunderstand me. And I think I'm become a lot more okay with it. Mm-hmm. And maybe that has given even more confidence because like worst case scenario, like they already misunderstand me. Like chill. Like I can do whatever I want, I don't, but I could.
You like let go of the need to kind of prove yourself or to like.
Yeah.
Do you think that that preemptively creates almost like a low expectation or disappointment in your life, though?
No, not at all.
Because you're kind of expecting the worst, almost. Like everyone already misunderstands me, so I'm not going to try to make people understand me.
Well, I think it's easier. I'm just okay with it. Like I'm okay with being misunderstood. So and then because I don't have to explain myself, it just makes things easier. And then I can just not take that into account when I'm making whatever decisions I'm making. That's more.
I see the difference.
It's not really
Definitely see the difference.
Yeah. And it's just like when you're a perfectionist, then all of that matters.
Yeah.
But it still does, but I don't know. Yeah. I'm like trying to decide because there was like so many cool things that we like touched upon. What's like one thing that you want to like
talk about?
Something positive about yourself, not one of your insecurities.
No more insecure talk.
No,
Sure.
We love it. And I feel like I'm happy that we gave it space.
Yeah.
But I also want to highlight
the positive for sure.
Yeah.
I would love to. I mean, I think one of your questions is like one of the questions that you sent to me was what is one thing you're the most proud of, right?
Gosh, I totally skipped that question. Thanks for remembering.
Oh my gosh. No, it was one of those questions. I was like, this is a really hard question, but
yeah,
I think it's a good one because I think I've always been a person who listened to my internal voices and gave it the room it needed in order for it to actually affect my behavior. So if I had a voice inside of me saying, explore this because you're good at this and you also enjoy it and you love it. And
you're interested.
And I'm interested in it. And the conventions are not as important as figuring out your own path in life because this is your life, then do it. Okay. And I think there's a lot of not thinking much into it and just doing it, going forward and figuring out along the journey how to deal with all of the setbacks. For instance, like what I'm dealing with now about trying to figure out my identity that will come with doing these things. But there was never a preemptive like worry of like, oh my gosh, yeah, but I'm in this community and like that's just not what happens. I just didn't grapple with those things. I just went ahead and did it, and
Love it.
Very proud. Yeah,
I'm a little jealous, but I'm happy for you.
Why are you jealous?
It's really cool because I was never like that. Like I very much just like thought about those things, and it really stood in my way.
Yeah,
and like I had to fight really hard to question certain things. So. And to go after certain things.
But so, I mean, like I said, everyone has their own timeline. I think that's so impressive that you did that though.
Thank you.
Because I also think like your personality just sounds like you could have taken the other route of just never questioning at all. It's so much more comfortable to just accept and not question and to just stay in the box. And the fact that you didn't is super cool because you had that other side that was basically saying don't just like leave it alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's so much richer and so much more exciting and so much more just like life. Like there's like what's life if you're just like waking up in the morning and doing the same thing and like making the same choices? It's so much harder and like so much more chaotic. And you're living. You're figuring it out as you go. And it's like, what?
Yes. It's embracing the chaos. Like you said, it really is.
Just like hugging it and loving it. Thank you for being here.
That's really what life is. It's like you can be on the kiddie roller coaster and have the little bumps that you get that make you super excited because they're still fun. Or you could decide to go on King Dakar. And the falls are like 100 million times worse. They really are once you start embracing life. Yeah. But like, dude, the heights are just that much better too.
What insight do you have for like someone who this feels like so unattainable to? I was going to say advice, but I took that word back immediately.
Okay, good.
Or
Because
like-
advice almost sounds like I'm like your professor, and I also am 100 years old.
No.
And I'm not on this journey with them. That's what I don't like about the word advice. It almost seems like I've gleaned all the wisdom that I need, and here is the little pieces of wisdom, while it's more like I'm totally with you along this ride.
Yeah.
So I can give you insight.
Or
what have I learned?
Yeah, what have you learned? What have, like, and it's also, what have you learned that's coming up right now?
What have I learned?
About being like brave enough to just embrace the chaos and like explore it. Not like tiptoe around.
Might need you to like give your insight, and then maybe I could figure out.
I should give my insight?
Yeah. I'm sure you have tons of insight for sure, no?
It's so interesting because like I feel like I asked this question and I'm trying to create space
Yeah.
for your experience in this.
Yeah.
And then you throw it back at me and I'm like, I'm pulling up a blank, not because I don't have what to say.
Sorry, because you're like,
okay.
So you're like trying to create the space for me. For sure.
I thank you for like including me in the conversation. I guess that's also part of like my challenge is like, if I'm asking somebody else questions, a lot of times I'll just like take myself out and totally like be open to that. And there is time and place for that, but then there's also the time and place for just having the dialogue and be like, wait, how's it for you? How's it for you? Like, you know what I mean?
Totally. No, I'll tell you why I threw it back at you.
Interesting.
It's because I think we're in such similar, we have such similar journeys, Connie. And I think I've now that I've kind of been doing this, and hopefully people are listening to my own podcast, and I kind of tote this message a lot.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
Hopefully. Yes. People are listening, right?
Yeah.
You guys are listening to Chaya's podcast, right? Between Two Worlds.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they are, but if they are, or this one, like I've spoken to some other people who are daring to embrace the chaos and be different.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of space I want to live in. So if you're saying what insight, I want this, like what I'm doing to be for everyone who wants to do something like that, for them to do it, and for them to feel like they're connected and that they're not alone. It's tough. One of the toughest thing about being in the transitional period, like we're talking about, is feeling so alone and feeling like you're going through these things by yourself. And you're not. You're literally not. And so that's why I threw this question back at you, because we're like in this together.
I love that. I think that's the most powerful thing to say, that like you're not alone. And it is the most lonely journey.
Yes.
It's so lonely.
So isolating.
It's so isolating. As you like like peel layers of yourself, you're peeling relationships, you're peeling things that you used to like that you don't like anymore, like all that kind of stuff. And so that makes it like even more lonely until like you find other people to connect with on that.
Or until you feel like you have a semblance of identity where you can reemerge from the pit of chaos. It sounds so dramatic, but
it's so accurate.
It's literally what it is.
So accurate.
Because you're alone down there. You're alone. It's dark, and you don't realize that there are like a million other girls there with you, but they're all in the dark too. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm curious. Like, I would love to. I'm just asking out loud. Like, how can we turn the light on? But I guess it's like the process. Like, everyone has to turn the light on for themselves, and then I think I don't want to say have to, but I feel like there's something from my experience to really turn the light on for myself, and then take it forward. Because I was always like, listen, I grew up on shelfless. Like, it was always about like being the light for other people, and like tzedakah, and like helping other people and having people in your house, and like all of this stuff, and just really being there for other people and being the light and joy. And so much of it, like, I just didn't feel for myself. And it's like, can I light that within myself for myself? Because I'm valuable and important enough for that. And then trust Hashem, trust the process that the light is going to spread to other people as it is supposed to. Guess that's the perfection, the recovering perfectionist in me.
Love that.
That like it's
So
really
beautiful.
about like filling your. It's not like, oh, fill your cup for, like, it's really finding the light, finding the fire. That's why also, like, when we talked about interviewing you, I was like, what do you want to talk about? Because we can talk about anything, obviously, and I can come with my agenda, but my agenda is like whatever I'm fired up about and what you're fired up about. That sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to be good content. Listen, I'll wait for the feedback, but like, do you know what I mean?
Now I'm nervous.
But like that's, and you know what? Like, if that doesn't speak to a million people and it speaks to 10 people,
I'm not
or
looking
one person
to speak to a million people. I'm really looking to speak to that specific
that
group
niche.
of people, that niche. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're lucky to have you in our corner. You know?
Thank you. You're trying to turn the light on down
What?
there. Yeah. It's
Yeah, exactly.
grappling the dark. Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said there. I think in order for there to be any progress, for real progress, I mean that, you have to find a source of love for yourself and a source of like acceptance and compassion. And that's very hard, especially for perfectionists. I think also for people who are not inclined to have a lot of self-love for themselves. There's a lot of logic involved in looking at yourself in like an analytical, logical way, almost like saying, okay, you did this and this and this, or this and this emotion is helping you become this type of person that you want to be. So we can't let those things go. So for instance, if you're feeling badly because you said something stupid, it's good to feel bad because you're not going to say something stupid again. Mm-hmm. So those are what I mean when you're saying you're like an analytical person, or if you have negative emotions and you find that those things are important because you don't want to say something stupid. But you really have to let go of that belief. Yeah. Even though it's not logical and you might say something stupid again, because you have to let go of thinking saying something stupid is so bad.
Because it's just stupid.
It's just stupid.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Or maybe it's not stupid. Maybe it's smart.
Maybe it's smart. Maybe, who knows? It's just, you have to find, everything that you do has to be defined in terms of just being like loving and compassionate to yourself. So you have to let go of those types of beliefs that like imprison you in negative emotions or in like.
It's an Avodah.
Yeah.
Straight up. It's like you're serving yourself by like beating yourself up. It's like this, I don't know. I remember like not understanding when he said like, oh, the Yetzer Hara, like what's the biggest thing about the Yetzer Hara is like it makes you feel bad for like what you already did. And it's like, it's so dumb because like it already happened, but the way we beat ourselves up about it, and it's like so irrelevant at the end of the day. It happened. You did it. Mm-hmm. And like chances are it's probably not half as bad as you're making it out to be anyway. Yep. But it also keeps us, it's like, it's a hustle, you know? It's like, keeps you busy, keeps you relevant. Yeah.
I was actually watching, have you ever seen the YouTube channel Cut? Nope. They're a really interesting channel. They have like very interesting out there kind of videos. They have this series called 100 People, and they ask a question to 100 different people, and the video is the responses. So one of their questions was, what's the most shameful thing? What's your most shameful moment? Mm-hmm. And besides for the fact that I love Cut because I think they're like on the edge of
cutting edge.
They're on the cutting edge, and like they're kind of exposing things that people, I guess, are ashamed of. Right. I just thought how great. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like you just have to like contend with those things, but not in a way that you feel so much shame that you just want to like hide or run away. Because I don't know if shame is such a useful like emotion in that way.
Well, I think if, like you said, it's on the foundation of compassion and openness and acceptance. And that's really hard when you're so used to just like pounding everything down. Yeah. Like I'm envisioning like the chicken tenderizer. Literally. Just like everything, just like, wait, but what if like the chicken could be like big and juicy and just like not be smashed?
But what's if you want it to be like all crispy and yummy?
Right. So there's a time and place for that, but not every single piece of everything needs to be tenderized. Meat needs to be tenderized, but like if you take, I don't know, like a fruit you'll just destroy it. It's disgusting.
True.
So there's a time and place, but I think I really undervalue like the power of compassion, self-compassion, and like this idea of like being in between two worlds and the compassion that's needed to like jump back and forth and be in the middle and like take this and take that and be cool with the mistakes that come from it because they're all lessons. Yeah.
Totally. And I like being able to reframe how you see mistakes or failure.
Yeah.
I think you should. I think that's one of the coolest thing about growing up is realizing that you have the ability to reframe experiences and therefore change it entirely.
Absolutely.
That's a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Has that like has that awareness like changed your experience?
It hasn't changed my experience because I find it very hard to reframe. Mm-hmm. It doesn't come easily to me. I think for some people it does, but the knowledge is enough to be astounding or to just always be like, to know that I have that power there. Mm-hmm. And I guess the more I apply it, maybe the easier it becomes. Like, I just always remember this example of, you know, someone who I listen to talks about like the reframing perception all the time. And he talks about excitement and nerves, how they're like chemically the same thing in your body. Yeah. How, you know, the rush or surge of whatever neurotransmitters are causing that. The only thing that is causing you to feel nervous or excited is just the way you're framing this upcoming experience. So you're feeling excited when you're on top of a roller coaster, but you're feeling nervous when you're about to do public speaking. Right. But you can just reframe that and kind of be able to see that those emotions you're feeling in an entirely different way. Yeah. Or just be objective to them. And I just think that's so cool. And so, yeah.
Do you feel like you've been able to practice that or just like not yet?
In a certain sense, because I've been trying to meditate. I feel like that might help.
Yeah.
Do you meditate?
Not really.
Do you want to meditate?
Yeah. There are other things that I do that are meditative, but haven't found the right meditation setup. What do you do? How do you meditate?
So I started back in 2020. I listened to a lot of Sam Harris, and he's a neuroscientist, and he has a meditation app called Waking Up. And so he has these courses, and he just talks about the benefits of meditating, not only psychologically, but also because
physically.
Yeah, not only physically. He talks about because it kind of dissolves your quote unquote ego. And it kind of reminded me when you were talking before about how you become more yourself when you are more loving, and what makes you, because my question was, when you were your perfectionist self, why isn't that you? Like, why isn't those negative things about being a perfectionist, why isn't that you? And you felt like that was hindering the real you because you hated that. Those things were causing you so much pain. Mm-hmm. And the real you was just like underneath that all, just wanting to be out in the open. Yeah. And I feel like when you meditate, you're really bringing out like the most essential part of you, because you're just dropping all of these identities that you cling to desperately. But I have never gotten to that point where like I see so clearly. Mm-hmm. I wish one day. Soon.
Yeah. I keep on thinking, because I know you just did a episode on IFS.
Yeah. Did you?
I started listening to it.
Yeah, Hannah's great.
I absolutely love IFS, and I feel like it really connects with a lot of things we're talking about. Just like the compassion for sure. So I guess like the thing that has really helped me get in touch with myself, a very like simple but like thing that I've done, is a journal every morning, and I've been doing it for like 7 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
How much time do you spend journaling?
20 minutes.
Wow.
I know, it's a long time.
That's amazing. And what do you write like a specific thing, or is it different every day?
It's chaos.
Love that.
Straight up chaos.
Love that.
But I started it because I was going through a really hard time, and my sister recommended this website called 750 Words. which basically there's this woman, her name is Julia Roberts. Not
Julia Roberts, like the actress?
No, Julia Cameron.
Okay.
Julia Cameron wrote this book about like finding yourself the artist's way, like how you can really like get in touch with your like true artist self, because we're all artists. So part of like getting in touch with yourself is like really being your artist. So Julia Cameron wrote this whole book, and then there was this woman who actually what's her name? The one who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, who Julia Roberts plays in the movie.
Okay. I know that book. I don't know the author's name though.
Hold on. I just need to find it out. She basically talks about how this woman had all these questions about herself, right? And then Elizabeth Gilbert wrote it. So she basically took inspiration from Julia Cameron.
Okay.
Book about like writing every single day. And then when you write every day, like it gets you to like what you really, really want. That's like undercover, that like you yourself have no idea. And then she realized that she wanted to go to Italy, and then she went to Italy, and then that whole thing happened. That whole story came to be, and that book came to be, and then the movie came to be with Julia Roberts. So it is basically So
basically you're on the fast track to creating a best-selling novel. Gotcha.
Exactly. Wait, so basically, yeah. So Julia Cameron talks about this idea that you write, she calls it morning pages. So it's become very popular the past couple of years about journaling, and this idea that you write for 15 to 20 minutes. And the last couple minutes, you're just like writing. It's basically like a filibuster. You're literally just saying words and saying things and whatever. And then at a certain point it hits where like you're done saying all of that. So then you really get to like what you are really feeling or thinking or wanting or whatever. So somebody came up with this, and I don't know who that person is, created this website, 750 words, 750words.com, where it's just like a blank page and you just type and they time you and you get these streaks, whatever. And then that's it. And then you can get into this habit of writing every single day. So that's how I started.
Wait, you just write whatever word comes to your mind?
Whatever word comes to your mind.
Just like just stream of consciousness.
Streams of consciousness.
Gotcha. Okay.
You just write.
So stressful. I just feel like I'm going to be writing like, I don't know.
So write like 100 times, and then you'll say something. It is
something will emerge from the likes.
Best thing.
Really?
It's been like the most life-changing habit, most life-changing like support to my life. That's probably been the most helpful thing within all the chaos that I've have been experiencing these past few years. That's been like my anchor, my like support system. Like I don't even like I feel like I need to write like all like wedding vows to this.
She's getting emotional, tears.
No,
yeah,
literally. So I could not recommend it enough.
Wow, why was it so transformative for you?
So I don't know. It's something that I show up for myself every single day. Like I won't miss it. Like I will not miss it. I used to do it like 4 or 5 times a week, and then 2-3 years ago I was just like, that's it. Like there's not a day like Matzah Shabbos, I make Havdalah, I journal. Like it's just what happens.
Wow.
And I've never shared it like this in detail.
Yeah.
On your episode, I guess. But
I feel so honored.
And I could not, and shout out to my sister Esty who told me about it. It's interesting because I first heard about the website, and then I only heard about Julia Cameron like 2-3 years later, maybe even more. And I started reading it. I'm like, I literally do that. Like, so then I started journaling twice a day. Now it's just one.
They're like, I'm going to pick this up.
No, it's just one. But I mean, now it's like 1,000 words. That's usually not 7. Like 1,000, 1,200. Like it's a lot.
Wow. But I'm so curious. Why is this? Maybe I have to start doing it to feel like why it's so helpful to you. But is it just the routine that is so?
It's the routine. It's also like nobody else is there. So you're always judging yourself as you're speaking, as it comes out. But it comes to a certain point where like you can't. Because literally nobody's there. No one's going to read it. No one's looking at it. No one cares. Excuse me. No one ever cared. But like, not in a bad way. Just like in the way that you think that they're caring, the way that you think they're judging you. And like, I feel like it would be so helpful for you, especially since you what other people think is so valuable to you.
It isn't.
What?
You're right.
It is and it isn't.
It isn't valuable to me. It's valuable to like the ego me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just for that differentiation.
No. Yeah.
And not only that, the way you described it as when you're writing, you're also being so self-critical. That part really hit me because I think, hey, I love writing, but and any writer will tell you this. Anybody who writes creatively, anyone who writes in general, it's the biggest critic is yourself. Yeah. The hardest thing is to just allow yourself to write, to give yourself the freedom of expression.
Yeah.
While you're writing, you're at least for me, I'm constantly being like, is that the best I could do? Or like, ooh, that line sounds bad. Like, that's not good. And not only that, when you're alone writing, that's like, wow, you're really giving your self-critic the throne. And it's terrifying. Yeah. Maybe the reason it's so transformative is because you're literally chipping away at the self-critic word by word 100%. Until it's literally not there anymore.
100%. The critic is there. And it's like also just like there's things that you can't say. You can't allow yourself to say, or you can't like there's certain meltdowns or certain like I've had like full on meltdowns. And I wouldn't give myself that like luxury.
You allow yourself on the page.
Expressing myself in that way. I don't always, but every once in a while, like I really let it go, especially when I'm really angry or really sad or really like, disappointed or any of that, like any of those really hard feelings. And that's the space for it. Actually, a couple days ago, I was feeling really intense feelings. And so I finished my 1,000 words and I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. And I was like, no, I'm going to take the time. And I literally wrote like another 700 words. And I just like gave myself that time. And I was just like, literally one day I ended up being like 2,000 words, like in one sitting.
How much time do you remember how much time that was?
25 minutes.
Probably. You were flying.
Yeah. Like
fingers were flying over the keyboard.
Yeah. I think it was like 1,700, whatever. But the point is that like, it's such an incredible tool and maybe I should talk about it more. Cause like people should really like, it's like when everyone talks about routines. That is one routine. Like I won't brush my teeth the night before, but I will not skip journal. It will not happen.
I feel like you should do an experiment and skip it one night just to see how you feel.
Absolutely not.
Skipping it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, don't do it then.
No, like I'll skip a shower. I'll skip washing my linen, but I will not skip that.
You're really, really dedicated to this.
It's just like, it's literally like what kept me going.
Wow.
I have been through some really like, I didn't know what was going on, where I was, who I was, what I felt. What I wanted, all of that. And I was just like, that's probably what got me through my transition. And I believe it's gonna continue to like be there for me.
Wow. So powerful. I'm so happy that you found something like that during that time.
Yeah.
Cause it's very, like I said, it's alone. You're alone. You feel like you're alone. It's hard. And anything that helps you becomes like a lifeline.
Yeah.
For sure.
It becomes like a toy and like something you can use later just for fun.
Yeah.
Once it's not a lifeline anymore.
Totally.
Is there like a one lifeline that you want to share?
I'm trying to think. Yeah. It's definitely something to do with writing also.
Yeah.
I've not through the way that you like to write. Because I also have never heard of this, which is so cool, but I'm going to look it up because that's on your list. I love building my own worlds and like getting lost in them and then also being able to create characters.
Love it.
It's like I finally like step away from all the problems I'm dealing with and my own life. Yeah. That's why I love writing. That's why I want to do that.
So you write just like
write scenes, write characters.
It's like fiction. Just like fun things.
Yeah.
Do you ever like write dark stuff or just like
Oh, it always has an element of
it has
something
to be
dark.
Dark. Hello.
It's not exciting if it's not.
No.
I feel like every writer, like, I don't. Every writer feels I feel like a lot of times are very self-important. They feel like their work is like, oh my God, this is the best thing. You must read. This is a piece of my soul. And there's a lot of that in that. But I like to tether my things a lot with a sense of humor and comedy, because I think it brings a levity that needs to be there.
Not
if it's
funny, I don't want it. Absolutely not.
Yeah, just straight up dark stuff. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, darkness is what makes it so funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Dark comedies are the best.
Yeah. So do you have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts.
I feel like we really went all over the place today.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah. That's kind of my thing, but like, I love tangents and I love just riding the waves of whatever comes. I feel like it's maybe not so conducive to podcast format, depending on what kind of podcast it is. But I feel like a lot of people are like, stick to the topic. I'm just like, no, I want to talk about everything.
Right. Also, like,
what's if the topic is switching topics?
Right.
Then what?
That's plus like, please switch topics. Like,
yeah.
We have to keep it exciting. Yeah, totally. And some yoga stretches while we're at it.
I love that you did the same thing after I was doing it. My closing thoughts is this. I don't know if anybody is in that transitional phase, no matter who you are, and it could be for anything, you know? Mm-hmm. In my particular case, it's trying to build a professional life outside of the community that I'm in, and also trying to find my identity between these two worlds that I live in and I'm currently in. Whatever it is for you, you're not alone. There's so many of us who are going through the same thing. And also, there's so many of us who are so not judgmental, but only want to connect with you and bolster you up in the best ways. And if you have a dream, go for it. Literally go for it. Because I know for sure that you're smart enough to.
Yeah.
And that you could absolutely be successful.
Yeah.
And your voice is important. Your voice.
And also, if you have that dream, that means that the dream needs to be actualized.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to chase your dreams. Let's reiterate that, because it's very lonely and it's really hard. So I just want to celebrate you for chasing your dreams, because it's so much easier to not. It's so much easier to just follow the rules and keep going. And that's not what we need. We don't need you to follow the rules. We need to follow your dreams. And it's very admirable and very daring. And on behalf of the world, I thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
And on behalf of the world, thanks for coming on tonight.
This was so enjoyable. I loved every minute of this.
Yay.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.